Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the New York Women's Foundation's Radical Generosity Gala. Please give a warm welcome to our performers and honorees this evening. Rolling Stone named them 2018 Artists You Need to Know, Haley and Michaels.
This is our Hail Mary, even if it's on love pretty. I still got a lot of fight left in me. This is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary. Counting on me, counted out, but didn't count on this right now, right now. Pedal pin and floorboard, but somehow we're losing ground. If we're going down, I'll be swinging, swinging. I'll be swinging, swinging. Ooh, I'll be singing, singing. Hallelujah. This is our Hail Mary. Even if it's on love pretty, I still got a lot of fight left in me. This is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary. Odds I don't beat the odds, but they don't know that thing we got. What we're about. Got a lot laying on the line, but not a lot left on that clock. If we're going down, I'll be swinging, swinging. I'll be swinging, swinging. Ooh, I'll be singing, singing. Hallelujah. This is our Hail Mary. Even if it's on love pretty, I still got a lot of fight left in me. This is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary. I'll be swinging, swinging. I'll be swinging, swinging. Ooh, I'll be singing, singing. Hallelujah. This is our Hail Mary. Even if it don't look pretty, I still got our heart left in me. This is our Hail, this is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary. Baby, this is for all the glory. Let's give them one hell of a story. This is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary. This is our Hail Mary. Even if it's on love pretty, I still got a lot of fight left in me. This is our Hail, this is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary. Baby, this is for all the glory. Let's give them one hell of a story. This is our Hail, this is our Hail Mary.
Please welcome to the stage Foundation Board Co-Chair, Kwanzaa Butler.
Good evening, everyone. Let's give another round of applause for Haley and Michaels. I am so pleased to welcome all of you to the Radical Generosity Gala. Tonight is a celebration as we honor extraordinary leaders, each working in their own way to move us forward. We also celebrate the Me Too movement. October is the one-year anniversary of the Me Too movement going viral. In marking this important milestone, we will also re-energize ourselves for the work ahead. We must create a world where every woman and girl can thrive and live free of violence. There is a long road ahead, but we will get there. And we have incredible leaders like the powerful women we will honor tonight and the New York Women's Foundation and its grantee partners to guide us and offer inspiration. Thank you for supporting the incredible work of the New York Women's Foundation. I'd like to especially acknowledge some of the state and city leaders who are with us tonight. They include Congresswoman Carolyn Mahoney, Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul, Melissa DeRosa, Secretary to the Governor, New York State Council on Women and Girls, Julissa Gutierrez, Deputy Director of Constituency Affairs for New York State, Assemblywoman Rebecca Seawright, Councilwoman Helen Rosenthal, Councilwoman Carlina Rivera, Dr. Orcides Barbut, Commissioner of the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, Carmelyn Malalis, Commissioner of the New York City Commission on Human Rights, Cecile Noel, Commissioner of the Mayor's Office to Combat Domestic Violence, Anna Bermudez, Commissioner, New York State Department of Probation, and David Hansel, Commissioner of the New York City Administration for Children's Services. Thank you all for being here. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the Foundation has been working to transform the lives of women and families for over 31 years. Our grant making places us at the top of women's foundations in the United States and second in the world. By supporting this event, you enable the foundation to invest in organizations led by women. Absolutely. Women working on the front lines of poverty, violence, racism, and injustice. Thank you for your radical generosity. Now let's begin. It's my pleasure to introduce our MC for the evening, Ted Bunch, co-founder of A Call to Men.
Thank you, Kwanzaa. What's up, New York Women's Foundation family? How you doing? All right. I'm honored to be here tonight. It's a pleasure to be MC here this evening. A Call to Men is a proud partner to the visionary Ana Oliveira and the New York Women's Foundation. Ana is one of my sheroes. There's a number of them in the house tonight. One of my sheroes and one of my woman mentors as well. At A Call to Men, we educate men and boys on healthy and respectful manhood. We do that because we know that when we embrace and promote a healthy, respectful manhood, that prevents all forms of violence and discrimination against women and girls. It also prevents, that's right, yep. It also prevents bullying, eradicates heterosexism and homophobia. It really makes the world better for all of us, and men benefit from that as well, because the liberation of men is directly tied to the liberation of women. So men, it's gonna be all right. As we reflect on the anniversary of Me Too, this is an exciting time. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for men because we're challenged, and we need to be challenged. And we get to reflect and reset, right? So it's really important that we're here tonight. We feel deeply that our work at A Call to Men and our collective work together could not be more critical, and the leadership of women continues to inform our analysis and how we move forward. Me Too has shed a light on the ways that sexism plays out, male domination, how that plays out. These are not a series of individual accounts, but an epidemic. The result is systematic. It's a systematic problem. Actually, I haven't met a man who hasn't either done something or said something that's been sexual harassment or discriminatory, or witnessed another man doing something and saying something and did nothing about it. He doesn't exist. But we know what we need to do now. At A Call to Men, we teach how all men are socialized to view women and girls as objects, property, and having less value than men. We try to counteract that. That collective socialization lays the foundation for violence and discrimination against all women and girls to persist. Our job is to raise men and boys' consciousness about their collective socialization so that they can think critically about how they've been taught to view women and girls, members of the LGBTQ and gender nonconforming community, and how they might be reinforcing and passing down those harmful beliefs to the next generation. Me Too has brought about an era of forced reflection. For the first time in history, men have been asked to examine their past behaviors and think about the impact that they might have had on women. We have spent a great deal of time calling men out, and that's important for accountability. It's also important so victims' voice gets to be heard, and hopefully healing comes from that. But as we call men out, we also have to be intentional about calling men in, because men are ultimately the solution to ending men's violence and discrimination against women and girls. And we've all had to look in our rearview mirror. We've all had to do that, and that's a good thing. So from the barbershop to the boardroom, we work to create a culture of respect and equity and value for all. I invite you to join us. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our first awards presenter of the evening, New York Women's Foundation board member and 2017 recipient of the Foundation's Vision Award, another one of my sheroes, Ann Delaney.
Good evening. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. And let's give a round of applause to Ted. We're so lucky to have him in our corner. It is with great pleasure tonight that I present the New York Women's Foundation first ever Radical Generosity Award to my dear friend Abby Disney, who along with Adrienne Becker, Rachel Gould, and Angie Wang are receiving the award for their bold and innovative new breed of media company called Level Forward. Yeah, you'll hear about it. Level Forward is the fearless answer to the calls of Me Too. Time's up, say her name, and we believe her. The days of women suffering in silence, not being heard or seen, are fleeting. Level Forward's focus is on inclusion because they know that when you bring voices and perspectives into the creative process that have previously been shut out, innovative, authentic storytelling emerges. Of the many things these four leaders have in common from Level Forward is that they are not afraid to back projects driven by women, people of color, LGBTQ, and other marginalized communities. Not afraid to be part of the healing process that inevitably begins when women begin finally to hear their own stories. Not afraid to make decisions and choices from a place of doing good as part of making money, and not afraid to share that same money with the community where the narratives began. And one of these women's voices is from Alanis Morissette, who 20 years ago wrote one of the biggest female anthem albums of all time, called Jagged Little Pill. And we know now that it has been quite a large jagged pill that women have had to swallow, but that is changing. In the near future, Level Forward will be presenting Jagged Little Pill as a musical work, and that is just the beginning of the stories we will hear from women reclaiming their power. Yep. In the past, power has for so long been associated with the use of force, rape, weapons of power, and dominance. But Abby, in her steadfast determination to challenge those narratives, has created platforms for women to generate their own relationships to power, as peace builders, as artists, as authors, as truth tellers. And Abby herself is one of our best truth tellers today. The New York Women's Foundation is proud to present this award to Level Forward and to share with you the video by Abby, who could not be here in person tonight. Please join me. Oh, hold on. No, let's watch the video first.
Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Disney, and I'm so sorry that I couldn't be with you tonight, but I am so happy and thrilled that we're being honored by you all for the Radical Generosity Gala. New York Women's Foundation is always deep, deep, deep in my heart. It's my favorite thing since sliced bread. I want to thank Anna Olivera, and I want to thank the board of the New York Women's Foundation, and I want to thank all of the sponsors of the gala and my dear friend Ann Delaney for her kind words. I'm not there, I didn't hear them, but I'm assuming they were kind. I want to say a shout out to Adrienne and Angie and Rachel and all the Level Forward folks in the audience and back in LA. This is a gala about celebrating the Me Too movement, and I just want to say a special thanks and all respect to Tarana Burke for all the years of work that she has put into making sure that we see each other and recognize each other's experiences. We are all part of an ecosystem of people who are trying to think of new ways to make visible what has been pushed out of our eyesight for too long. And narrative is the best way to make these experiences visible and understood by a broader group of people. My entry point into this work was that I came on the board of the New York Women's Foundation, and then I was radicalized, truly radicalized by the experience of working shoulder to shoulder with people that would otherwise not have been part of my experience in life, and it changed me profoundly. And it was that experience of going into neighborhoods, meeting the women who did that work, that I brought with me to Liberia, and it was that understanding of all that women were capable of that helped me recognize the value of what the Liberian women did, and that led me to my first film. So New York Women's Foundation is really kind of the mother of the work that I've done, and I'm so grateful for all of the time that I was able to learn from it. So let me talk to you about what Level Forward means, because we called it that because what we want to do is level forward. Think of us as kind of like one of those steamrollers. We're going to be leveling the playing field going forward. We try to be level forward about all of our decisions in our work and how we operate and how we deal with people. We want to engage organizations and movements and survivors in our storytelling and make sure that they're compensated for their time and their work and recognized for their expertise. We want to redefine performance by building into our financial model revenue streams and profit participation for our NGO partners. And with the New York Women's Foundation and grantee partners and allies, we're going to build our narrative power to influence and disrupt the big stories that we currently see. We are trying to radicalize Hollywood, radically include, so blow up the demographic boxes, cast a wide net on perspective, make sure everybody's telling their stories. So there's a lot of work to be done in Hollywood and beyond, and I couldn't be happier to be honored by the New York Women's Foundation. Thank you to you all, thanks to Tarana Burke, and thanks for everybody tonight.
Thank you, Abby. Wonderful from afar. Please welcome to the podium one of the amazing founders of Level Forward, Adrienne Becker.
Thank you, Ann Delaney, for your remarkable spirit and your unique voice. And thank you, Abby Disney, for being a ray of sunshine amidst a year of very murky storms and always pulling us back to the light. And thank you, Tarana Burke, for years before I was ever a part of this conversation, and for many years to come, for keeping us focused on the one thing that matters, which are survivors. On behalf of Rachel and Angie and Abby, our team in Los Angeles, our team in New York, our investors, our supporters, our sister company, Fork Films, thank you for seeing us, because being seen is not a privilege, it is a right. And it is a right that belongs to everyone and not just a select few. I was reminded of this a couple of weeks ago. I sat on the sofa with my son, who's a 17-year-old Caucasian male, and he and I huddled on his phone watching Anna Maria Archila confront Jeff Flake. She demanded to be seen. She said, literally, look at me, see my face, hear my voice, feel my pain, embody my experience. And my son looked up at me and said, wow, that's incredible. And it struck me, how else could my 17-year-old son know what it's like? How else could he have any sense of understanding what it is to be a woman, to be Latina, to be a survivor? Mom, I changed my mind. I don't think it's okay for him after all. I don't think it's right. His resume does not make up for his character. And I said to him, wow, now that's incredible. And the point of this story is just that. Stories are a path to the unknown. They enable us to transcend our own experience, to rise up from our bodies, out of our skins, away from our prejudices, our proclivities, into a space of compassion and mutual understanding, a path to reconciliation. And unfortunately, when stories are narrow, they do not reflect a world where everyone belongs. In fact, they limit our societal capacity for understanding. They limit our individual sense of possibility. The motion picture industry is a perfect example. It's a $40 billion global marketplace. Less than 5% of that is directed by people of color, and 3.4% of the top high-budget motion pictures are directed by women. You know the quote, if you can't see it, you can't be it, and that's what Level Forward is attacking. We're doing this by harnessing creative excellence and directing it strategically. And we're doing it to honor the work of Tarana Burke, who in 2006 stood up and said, look at me, and Anita Hill in 2001, who stood up and said, look at me, and Sylvia Ramirez, and Grace Lee Boggs, and Dr. Christine Blasey Ford. How could we not, after the year we've had, raise our expectations of what we will do and what we must do now? Here's a peek at our action list. Targeted inclusion goals and contract equity riders written into all of our deals. Building a network of diverse talent so employers have no excuse like they can't find enough good people to hire. Workplace training available to everyone, even people who don't know someone in the industry. Black female characters who are in positions of power and healthy relationships, Latina characters who are college educated and professional, transgender, disabled characters who are pursuing their dreams, equity riders and budgets that are greenlit by women and people of color, and budgets that include a line item to invest in neighborhoods where gun violence is most damaging whenever there's a gun on screen. So, thank you, Ana Oliveira and the New York Women's Foundation. Thank you for seeing all of us as women, as men, as people of color, as LGBTQ, as descendants of immigrants, socioeconomically diverse. Together, with your help, we can level the playing field. We can carve a new path with new milestones and new monuments of enduring justice by writing a new script. And as Alanis Morissette said, at the age of 19, and I'm going to try to do this, we had to believe in something. We believe in this. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Level Forward. Can we give it up one more time? Congratulations to Abby, Adrienne, Rachel, and Angie. Really great stuff. Thank you so much for bringing awareness to all of those issues. And I want to appeal to my men in the audience, my brothers in the audience. There's things we can do. We can look in our own, you're not in the film industry, but we are in our own industries, and make sure that women are being paid equal to men. It's very important. Right? And when it comes time to give to the New York Women's Foundation, please dig a little deeper in order to do that as well. So the next thing that I'd like to do here is welcome our senior advisor to the president of Hunter College and former deputy mayor for Health and Human Services, Lilian Barrios Paoli, to present our next award.
Thank you. It is my honor to introduce our next honoree, Dr. Mary Bassett. Dr. Bassett holds an undergraduate degree from Harvard University, really from Radcliffe, but Harvard University, a medical degree from Columbia University, and a master's in public health from the University of Washington. She completed her medical residency at Harlem Hospital, and she's a member of the National Academy of Medicine. Not a small thing. As commissioner of the Health Department in New York City for almost 5 years, Dr. Bassett confronted Ebola a few months into her tenure. Who can forget her calming presence and reassuring voice in the midst of some of the more panicked government voices? During her time as commissioner, Dr. Bassett strengthened the city's tobacco laws and addressed the ongoing opioid epidemic. Under her leadership, family and child health were made a priority, HIV infections dropped to a record low, and mental health became a priority. She opened 3 neighborhood health centers in very underserved communities in order to bring resources to them. Across all of her outstanding work, Dr. Bassett has had an unwavering commitment to racial equity and social justice. She pushed her health department to see public health through a more racially sensitive lens, and she highlighted why social justice is essential if we are to eliminate health disparities. For over 17 years prior to being named commissioner, Dr. Bassett served on the medical faculty at the University of Zimbabwe. In that role, she developed a range of interventions to address one of the world's worst AIDS epidemics. She also served as a program director for the Doris Duke Charitable Foundation African Health Initiative from 2009 to 2014. She resigned as New York City's health commissioner at the end of August this year to become the director of the Francis Xavier Bagnoud Center for Health and Human Rights at Harvard University. All of these accomplishments would more than justify today's awards. But I want to tell you and highlight 2 things that I believe make Dr. Bassett the extraordinary human being that she is. I have met very few people with a deeper commitment to eradicate health disparities and all other kinds of discrimination and inequalities. She talks the talk, and she also walks the walk. Her life is a testimony to all that. She's also a woman of extraordinary courage. She speaks truth to power even when most people would hesitate to do so. I witnessed that in many occasions. So for her unwavering commitment to social justice and for her courage to always stand for what is right, the New York Women's Foundation is honored to present Dr. Mary Bassett with a Radical Generosity Award. My friend, Mary Bassett.
Well, good evening, everyone. I am so deeply honored to be here, and I thank Lilium for those very kind words. I'm really amazed to be in the company of so many wonderful honorees as well. It's wonderful to meet you all. I want to take a moment to say something about Lilian Barrios Paoli, who was deputy mayor, and without her, I wouldn't have had this wonderful opportunity to become New York City's doctor. And I certainly wouldn't have had the opportunity to thrive. As you've heard, I am passionate about the right to health for all people, and passionate about naming the barriers that stand in the way of people's right to health: racism, homophobia, sexism. This is a group that's used to hearing these words, but not everybody's used to hearing a health commissioner talk about these things. So I also really wanted to get things done. So Lilium was exactly the kind of person that you would hope for to be your supervisor. I reported to her as deputy mayor. And she did what you always hope somebody will do for you. She was protecting, advising, available, occasionally annoyed with me, wise and honest. Honest. That's an amazing quality. So I want to say thank you to her. And I also want to say something about Ana Oliveira, who was there in the front row at the press conference when Bill de Blasio announced my appointment. I strode up to a podium. He had a special one. He's tall. And I was pretty nervous, made my remarks, and I spotted Anna, who I can't see in the crowd here tonight, but I know she's here. I spotted Anna, and that was such an example of Anna's leadership. She always is there, lending quiet and enduring support. The New York Women's Foundation knows how blessed they are to have her in their leadership. So it won't surprise you that not only does the New York City Health Department have women out front in leadership, and our own Dr. Oxidis Barbeau is here with us tonight, but as commissioner, yes, let's give her a hand. As commissioner, I had a back office. Everybody has to have a back office. And it was also mostly women, and many of them came here tonight. And if they could stand or wave or something, please. I want to thank you all. You made my work possible. And my mother's here. I don't know if she'll be able to hear me. She's 90. And she's an example of what it means to lead a committed life. How can I not say it? These are perilous times that are bad for our health, bad for the health of our planet. This nation is an outlier in health value for money. That means the U.S. spends a lot on health care and gets little for health. And in this and in many things, many more than I'd like, the U.S. is in the company of oil states led by strong men. So the result is health statistics that are stagnating for women and children when they should be improving, and some are going in the wrong direction. And when middle-aged white men have rising mortality rates, the current situation in this country, you know that something is very wrong. These are our, prime shareholders in the American dream. So the storms are literally brewing. It's hard not to be bleak, but tonight I don't want to go there. I want to talk about some different numbers. Over 400 women entered primaries for the House or the Senate. Over 250 are going to be on the ballot in November. 234 women for the House, 22 for the Senate, and there is a chance that a historic number of serving governors will be women. Stacey Adams would be the first black female governor if elected in Georgia. Vermont could have the country's first transgender governor if Christine Hallquist wins in November. And Paulette Jordan out there in Idaho could be the first Native American governor in our country. So we in New York know that this is what America looks like. And when we embrace who we are, it is good for our health. So I thank you, and I'm truly honored to get this award.
Congratulations, Dr. Bassett. Yep, and her family, We're going to take a break for dinner, and we'll resume the program shortly. There's still time for your bids for the silent auction, so get your phones out. Bon appetit.
Please welcome the New York Women's Foundation's President and CEO, Ana Oliveira.
Good evening, everybody. I am so sorry to interrupt this vibrant set of conversations over dinner. But in the spirit of a fast and very perky program, I'm gonna, yes, you know the New York Women's Foundation. We do not like to linger. We like to respond, be active, and move forward. So in that spirit, I'm going to ask you to continue to enjoy your food, but also transition a little bit to our second part of our program. So first of all, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to spend your evening with us, right? Yes, that's for you. Thank you. No matter our political persuasions, no matter our particular, beliefs, I know that we all share in this room an enormous concern about respect, dignity, equality, and the ability for all of us to share lives in which we all thrive. Isn't that the case? So the foundation, and I want to talk to you for a minute about the kind of philanthropy that we do. The kind of philanthropy that we do is the one that believes that problems and solutions live in the same place, and that those who daily live and deal with those issues are the best ones to solve them. That folk that handle adversity are not empty vessels, are not ignorant, are not deficient, are not lacking anything. The only thing that they are lacking is to be seen, to be believed, and to be invested in. That's our job. And when I say our job, all of us in this room, because the foundation is a public foundation, it is utterly dependent on our donors. And that keeps us closer to the experience of our grantee partners that are also utterly dependent on philanthropy. That tends to keep us more honest. That tends to keep us more appreciative of the knowledge and leadership of those around us. So in an evening like this, when we think about who we want to honor, what we think about are those who are stepping forward and have been stepping forward for a long time. We may be late coming to their leadership. Everyone that we're honoring this evening has been doing what they've been doing for a long time. They all share that ability to be ordinary people with extraordinary determination, vision, and that unflinching courage to continue in spite of others not seeing them. We are celebrating 1 year. This is like 1 year that most of us, discovered Me Too. Not 1 year that Me Too has existed. Me Too existed for 11 or 12 years before. So let me reframe this. We're celebrating 1 year of gratitude, saying to ourselves, okay, we're doing better now this year than we did 12 years before, right? That's the truth. That's the truth. When I heard Tarana Burke speak, I was utterly embarrassed, because she said that in more than a decade of her work happening, she had received 2 small grants, and that philanthropy had been silenced otherwise. And for us at the New York Women's Foundation, that is an enormous, enormous embarrassment. So what we have done, together with Tarana and together with others, our incredible donors and other grantee leaders, is we created a fund to respond to catch up. We got a lot of catch up to do for those 12 years. A lot of catch up to do. Now imagine if Tarana and all of those in the movement with her had been funded 12 years ago. Imagine. We all would be living and benefiting from that, our whole society, the whole world, in a much faster manner. So the catch-up is on 2 levels. The speed of response, the size of the response, and the respect in the response is who comes first. So the fund is a different experiment in philanthropy, one in which, and I am grateful to the incredible board members of the New York Women's Foundation who stood with us when we said, would you allow us to share decision-making 50-50 with Tarana Burke and other allies of the movement? And they said yes. So we are looking to continue to do what we do. Please, let's remember that philanthropy is only as good as our grantee partners. We only are as significant as the work of our grantee partners. And that the more we can acknowledge that and say yes. Philanthropy, foundations, donors usually think that the most important thing is to say no. But frankly, the most important thing is to say yes. I see you, I believe in you, I see your work. We do not think that the risk is in saying yes and embracing people with our added value. Offering people what they already don't have, not trying to tell people how they should be doing their work and their leadership. So today, I'm very happy to tell you that in May, at our breakfast, we launched the fund to support the Me Too movement and its allies, and we committed an original seeding $1 million. Today, by the end of the year, in another 2 months, we will have distributed certainly a minimum of $1 million. And today, I wanted to tell you that we announced our first round of partners, the Me Too movement, and 8 other organizations throughout the country, in New York City and beyond, who are part of this movement. Funding movements, funding leaders is different from funding models, from funding organizations. At the end of the day, you know, if you are a donor, if you are a philanthropist, you know that we're funding people. We're funding their dreams, their ability to realize them, their ability to bring others with them. So I want to thank you, because without you, we wouldn't be able to do anything at the New York Women's Foundation. So that means that however much you want us to do, you step up with us, right? Remember that. You have a lot of power, a lot of power. So I want to do two more things and then have introduced this incredible person. One is, I want to ask our grantee partners who are here with us this evening to stand up for a moment so you can actually see the leaders that make our work. Please do so. Yes. Yes. And I want to say that not only we stand side by side with you in this kind of awkward thing on your shoulders and side by side, you know, it's a balancing act, but we're grateful for not only what you do today, what you have done for so long, and what you will do. And the other thing I wanted to say, I just wanted to say a word about our award, the Radical Generosity Walking Stick. Have you noticed? So they are made by one of our grantee partners, ISIS Grant, and they are individually made. They are individually created. They are created with the inspiration by young women in Brooklyn, with the inspiration for each awardee. So there are no two walking sticks alike. And the last thing I wanted to say is that evidently they acknowledge the role of charting the way, leading the way, carving that path. But they are very, very handy instruments. I just want everybody to know. They are sometimes needed in leadership moments. Leadership is not for the meek, right? So the awards need to be more or less congruent with that. So I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you for having the perspective that we do not operate from a scarcity paradigm. We operate from a generosity, and in the case of the New York Women's Foundation, a radical generosity paradigm. We have enough for all of us to go around to thrive in our lives. It is not a win-lose game. It's a win-win game. So with that, it's my great pleasure to introduce one of our partners from the Me Too Fund and somebody that leads a long-term organization, partner of the New York Women's Foundation, the Violence Intervention Program, lovingly known as VIP. Please welcome Margarita Guzman, Executive Director of VIP.
Thank you. Thank you, Ana. There's something about a hug from Ana Oliveira that makes you feel like you can take over the world. It's pretty fantastic. It's one of the perks of being up here. And I also want to express my deep gratitude to the New York Women's Foundation for the opportunity to speak today, and in solidarity with all my fellow grantee partners, of whom I have the honor of working with. This opportunity to speak and be heard, for me to share something of myself with people who will listen and accept my truth, is something that feels so natural and so human. But we are all painfully aware about how rare that connection actually is, especially when the stakes are high. When we tell the truth about our experiences of sexual violence, that truth is often met with disbelief or disregard or even degradation. I imagine that Tarana Burke could feel the distance between truth tellers and listeners when she started Me Too. I feel that she could see how Black and brown girls and women and transgender and gender nonconforming people were locked in their silence, and she knew that we really needed to see each other and that we needed to hear each other, because when we connect, we create power. I was born and raised in El Paso, Texas, on the border with Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, Mexico. Thanks, Texans and Mexicans in the room. That's my jam. In El Paso, there's a mountainside where you can see 2 countries and 3 states and multiple cities and towns. And it is just incredible to be able to see that the border, to see it by yourself, that the border is a lie, that we're all one people on one beautiful, vast landscape. As a queer Chicana and a survivor of intimate partner violence, I've spent all my life deconstructing real and invented borders. And that is how I discovered my own power. My search for others like me led me to the work that I do now. In 2017, I joined the team at the Violence Intervention Program here in New York City. At VIP, we work with Latina survivors of intimate partner and sexual violence, most of whom are immigrant women. They are survivors of a complex intersection of interpersonal and state violence that often starts in a home country where gender-based and gang violence runs rampant. And it continues on a migratory journey where rape is such a foregone conclusion that most of our clients report taking contraception to avoid becoming pregnant by it. Once they arrive in the United States, their lives are either subjected to a violent immigration system, or they have the opportunity to try to create a life in the shadows for themselves and their families. Their stories of intimate partner violence and sexual assault are often never told. Because VIP is an organization that was founded by and for Latinx survivors, we are a trusted community presence, which gives us the responsibility and the great privilege to support survivors who may otherwise never disclose their stories. It all starts with the courage to speak what feels like the unspeakable. The Violence Intervention Program runs a 24/7 bilingual hotline where callers connect to a compassionate voice that goes over all the options that might be and connects them for ongoing support. And that ongoing support looks like advocacy within US-based systems that feel like a complete mystery, let's face it, for most of us, and especially for immigrants. At VIP, we're cultural interpreters of those systems, helping people connect to find refuge at our shelters and our transitional housing programs, to access benefits, to be able to connect to legal representation, and to begin a healing process. But we know that those basic services are not always going to translate into long-term stability. We have learned that the linchpin for liberation is economic justice. And so we help our clients to obtain that justice by helping them to build small businesses in a solidarity economy process so that they can support one another as they build their own economic security. And I am incredibly proud to announce that in next spring, the VIP will be launching its first ever workers' cooperative. Thanks. Thank you. And it will be exclusively owned and operated by Latina immigrant survivors of intimate partner and sexual violence. All of our work is in support of the healing journey of all survivors. Every single achievement and every single success we have is generated by the power that they created when they risked being seen and when they dared to tell their stories. And that power is growing. Thanks to the Me Too Fund, Latina survivors will engage in a digital storytelling practice that uses multimedia tools to tell about their experiences. It will familiarize our clients with technology that they never even knew existed and connect them to communities of survivors that they may never otherwise have met. And most importantly, this is their chance to tell their story for themselves and for one another, and not to judges, not to prosecutors, not for immigration officials, and not for police. It's their story being told for their healing and their empowerment. So please accept my deep gratitude to you for funding and supporting the New York Women's Foundation and investing in the power of our unity and the work of the Violence Intervention Program. Across communities, we are linking our strength, enriched by the brilliance of our own cultural wisdom, led by the brightness of our ferocity, and uplifted by the boundless abundance of our resilience. And I invite you to join us and to witness our courage. Thank you. Thank you. It is now my pleasure to invite New York Women Foundation board member Grania McNamara to the stage.
Thank you, Margarita, and good evening to everybody. I am a proud board-serving member of the New York Women's Foundation. Being on this board and working with these amazing women and working with this organization has been one of the most important things that I've done in my adult life, and I've grown tremendously as part of this experience. The foundation has not changed its mission in the more than 30 years that it's been in existence, but every day the work of this foundation becomes even more relevant and takes on more urgency because clearly we still have an awful lot to do. I am also the proud mother of 3 children, 2 daughters and a son, and I'm also a partner in a large audit firm. Next to me on my table are some amazing women that work for me and with me at that firm, and who are also proud supporters and donors to the New York Women's Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to also know that I am a survivor of domestic violence. My father undoubtedly suffered from an undiagnosed mental health condition that caused him to rage throughout my childhood, inflicting a lot of abuse on me and my 3 brothers. When I was 13 years old, after years of emotional and physical abuse, I took an overdose of painkillers and ended up in hospital. When I awoke from the coma-like state that I was in, my father was at the foot of my bed. He said that next time I was going to pull a stunt like that, I should take enough painkillers to do the job. I knew in that moment that I didn't hate me. I knew that I didn't want to kill me. I wanted someone to see me, to notice me, to help me. A little girl that was sad and terribly alone and afraid to admit that I was terrified. We didn't have a women's foundation in the small rural community in Ireland where I grew up, so I knew that I had to help myself. I had to get out, and so I did exactly that. I was the first person in my family to go to college and emigrate out of Ireland. Good people that I met along the way helped me to stay at college when I couldn't afford to. They helped me over the years to turn my story into the story of a survivor, not a victim. My story of abuse is many years ago now. I am able to stand here and tell you this today because through my work with the New York Women's Foundation, I realized that my journey isn't just about me. It's about all the women. Thank you. It's about all the women and all the girls who need the things that I needed back then, not only to change their narratives, but in so doing to change their realities and the realities of their families. One of the important things I had to do this weekend was tell this story to my children properly so that I could be here and tell it to you tonight. I told my girls the reason why they didn't know their grandfather. I told them the truth, and I told them why I was doing this tonight. I told them that I was going to take something really dark and painful from my past and try to pay forward the gifts that I've received in my life to try to change the narrative for somebody else. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight there are women and families all over this city whose lives are being turned upside down by violence and poverty and other forms of injustice against them. The New York Women's Foundation knows what's needed. They've been doing this work for over 30 years. Together with their grantee partners, they've become one of the largest and most influential foundations serving women and girls in the world. They fund the critical work that you heard about tonight. Through the grantee partners, these organizations help survivors of all kinds of violence in the workplace, in the home place, in any place. They work on important issues around gender equity, economic security, and justice for all women, especially those who are underserved, unseen, or unheard. Tonight, I'm inviting you to join me in making a difference in the lives of women and families and communities in New York City. The foundation is getting bigger and bolder and braver, and we need your help to do the work that we do. We are making a bold ambition here in the room tonight to raise $100,000. You have already been texting to pledge and pledging in our auction, and we thank you. We are about to see how much we've already achieved. I will be the first to pledge tonight another $10,000 for the foundation. We're going to add that to all of the wonderful money that we've already raised. Thank you so much from your text pledges and also from the auction. That's the first time that we did a silent auction, so thank you. This is terrific. I do need you to take out your phones and help us to get a little closer to that goal if you haven't done so already. You can text the number that you see on the screen. You text NY Women. You'll receive a prompt. You'll click on the prompt, and then you'll be asked to anonymously donate to help us to achieve this goal. Please, I'm asking everybody at all of your tables, please try to make a gift tonight that's meaningful for you. Please know that every amount for us is meaningful and valued and welcomed. Thank you all for the gifts that you've already made tonight. Nearly 4 out of 10 families in New York City are headed by a single mother or are living in poverty. We need this money to help those women. Our grantee partners are expert at offering community-led services in order to do just that. If you want to stop domestic violence, the leading cause of family homelessness in New York City, please join us. Thank you so much for all of you who are doing it as I speak. Your donation tonight will be used to harness more resources to stop sexual assault against women through our funding of all of the amazing organizations you've heard about tonight, including the Me Too movement. This is amazing. I can't tell you how excited I am to see that thermometer moving up. It would be awful if it didn't. We envision a future for our city where women are economically secure and children and families and communities will thrive. This money goes towards providing access to childcare, education, employment and earning opportunities that promote pathways to good, stable jobs and leadership opportunities and advancement for all women. We envision a New York City where women don't lose their homes or their jobs or their children because they can't make a bail payment. Our criminal justice initiative is positioned to do exactly that. Thank you for sharing your gifts with the New York Women's Foundation. Thank you so much. I'm going to hand back over to Ted. Please continue to give. The lines will be open for the rest of the evening. I thank you for your radical generosity in the room, and I hope that we're going to maybe reach our 100,000 goal before we call it an evening. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, keep giving, keep giving. It's wonderful. Thank you for your support of the foundation. Now I'm honored to introduce the founder and leader of the Me Too movement, and 2018 recipient of the Foundation's Celebrating Women Award, and another one of my sheroes, and I'm sure yours, Tarana Burke.
Hello. Yes. We're at I really don't want to talk until we hit 50. So maybe if I stand here silently, y'all just keep giving. What? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Just push a little. Come on. Somebody got $7. Come on. Come on. We are so. Y'all playing with me. I'm going to be quiet. Come on. Hit it one more time. Yay! Woo! All right. Now I got a lot to say. Well, one, thank you so much. This has been such a lovely night. New York Women's Foundation, you all throw a very lovely party, so thank you. I feel like I have to talk like this because we're in the plaza. So, I am really excited because this is the 1-year anniversary of the viral hashtag, and I'm alive. We made it, right, Chelsea? We made it. Good Lord. Where's Joanna Banana? We made it, Joanna Banana. I don't usually say that in public, but I'm going to say it today. Shout out to Joanne Smith. When Me Too first went viral, I went to Joanne and I said, I need to take a couple of months off. And she was like, that's not going to happen. It's not going to be much. We'll keep talking. She's like, go do what you got to do. We'll keep talking. So thank you. Tonight, though, I know people keep saying thank you, Tarana, and I appreciate that, but I'm here tonight to say thank you to Alyssa. When we started talking about the gala and how Anna and the team were talking about, what I wanted to do, the first thing I said is I wanted to thank Alyssa. When Me Too went viral, and there was a moment where there was a potential for conflict. Let me just say that. There was a potential to have a real open fight about whose this was, right? And there were people who were very supportive, and I definitely appreciated it, saying, Tarana Burke started this. And all of a sudden, there were all these accusations being thrown. The white women in Hollywood are trying to steal the Me Too movement. Alyssa Milano did not start the Me Too movement. The poor child couldn't tweet anything without somebody saying, no, you didn't do it, Tarana did it. And here's what people didn't know. And I'm so glad to tell this story out loud. A year ago today, when Me Too went viral, Alyssa didn't know who I was. I actually didn't know that she was the one who tweeted it. The next day, when people kept tweeting at her saying, this already exists, Tarana Burke started it, blah, 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 she tweeted out saying, hey, I didn't know this thing existed, I'm sorry. Look at this website. She talked about the work that we had done, she showed the website, and then she DM'd me on Twitter. Now, this is the thing she doesn't know. Alyssa Milano is one of my favorite actresses in the world. I've been holding this for a year because I didn't want to say so. When I was a little girl and I used to watch Who's the Boss, and I remember when I found out we were the same age, and I thought, this is so cool, she's my age on TV. And then, of course, there was the Charmed era. And then there was Mistresses. Y'all remember Mistresses? I'm still a little salty about that, but I know you had a baby. But she sent me a message on Twitter, and she said, first, I didn't know who you were, and she was very sort of apologetic, and I said, thank you. And then she said, I'm here to help you. What do you need? I want to amplify your work. How can I be supportive? And regardless of what you hear from anybody else, my relationship with Alyssa has been the most clear example of what allyship looks like. We throw around intersectionality all the time. This sister right here, and I'll call her sister purposely, has been open, has been generous. She did not have to include me in this narrative. Let's be honest. It could have been a conflict. There's lots of celebrities, people with a lot of visibility who would have said, sure, some 45-year-old black lady from the Bronx did this, but I'm doing it now, But she didn't do that. And what I've learned about her in the last year is that she is a generous human being. And she did this because she cares about people, but she also is a social justice warrior. I do a lot of stuff, but Alyssa's like a couple of months later, she started the No NRA, and all of a sudden I started getting texts from her like, hey, sign up for this, we're going here, you want to come now? I was like, damn, Alyssa, one thing at a time. But she doesn't believe in that. And, she's earnest. There are a lot of people I've met this year who do a lot of things, and don't nobody write that down. But she's earnest, and I just appreciate her. I appreciate the space that she made that she didn't have to. I appreciate her dedication to this work and the work of really making humanity better. That's really what she's dedicated. It's not about a particular cause. She really wants to leave the world a better place. And so I am beyond honored to finally get to say publicly, come on. Thank you so much. Oh, wait. Let's stay.
I love my
we got to take a picture. Come on.
Okay.
So, I'm going to get weepy. I'm just going to let you know. I'm kind of emotional. I lead with emotion. I texted Tarana today because I made her a promise that anytime I got the microphone, I would hand it to her. So this is weird for me because I feel like I should be handing it to her. I feel like this should be hers, but I feel so honored, beyond honored. So a year ago today, our days started in 53,000 different ways. October 15th, it was a Sunday. Some of us were at home. Some of us were at work. Some of us were just getting back from a night shift. Some of us went to church that day. Maybe we spent the day with our kids or our friends or our partners or our parents or our coworkers. Maybe some of us spent that day alone. We had different dreams, different worries, different resumes, backgrounds, experiences, and expectations. We may have even passed each other on the street that day without even knowing. But by the next morning, those 53,000 different days, those 53,000 women, those 53,000 different lives had come together in one movement grounded with just two words: Me Too. The words Me Too connected us through our pain, but they also connected us to our power. You know, our predators could always rely on the shield of their privilege, but finally, we had protection too, in the form of each other. I'll never forget where I was that Sunday. And inside my chest, my heart was on fire. It had been a bad week in a very bad year to be a woman in this country. And 2017 started in the worst possible way imaginable. A man who has not only been accused of sexual assault, but bragged about it, became the President of the United States of America. The most powerful man in the country, arguably the world. And then even in the face of our hard-fought resistance, he proceeded to spend the year trying to roll back our rights systematically. By the time October rolled around and the Harvey Weinstein story broke, I was far from the only one who had had enough. And I just kept asking myself, and this I still haven't found the answer, why are people so horrible to women? So I spent that weekend reading article after article about prominent men accused of sexual assault and abuse. And on the one hand, I was glad that these stories were being written, but I didn't like the way they were being told. The predator was always the protagonist. The coverage was always about his life, his career, how much he had to lose, not the women he had hurt, abused, or driven away from a workforce, not the women who had their confidence and sense of security shattered, not the women who had been ripped away from society and their communities, their ideas, their minds lost to us all. And the thing that drove me crazy is that the news made this sound like it was just a Hollywood story or a DC problem. But of course, we're talking about all women. We're talking about women who work in hotels and restaurants and in farms and in hospitals. We're talking about our neighbors. We're talking about our daughters. We're talking about our sisters. We're talking about our mothers. We're talking about our aunts. For many of these women, every single paycheck matters. Hiring an attorney is an expense that's just out of the question, and losing a job is not an option. And even if they do speak up, they run the risk that no one will believe them, or that they could potentially be mocked by the president. These women who are targeted precisely because they are vulnerable, women whose abusers count on their very silence. And I thought it was time to hear those stories too. So on that Sunday, I got into bed with my children and I watched my daughter sleep. And I wept for her. I vowed that her future would be different. And serendipitously, I got a DM from my friend Charlotte Clymer with this idea, and it was a call to action, first sounded by the amazing Tarana Burke. And it was at once a small act of solidarity and a chance to illustrate the enormous scope of the plague in our society. If you have been sexually harassed or assaulted, reply with me too. The predators already had their platforms. This, I hoped, maybe could be ours. These men who had demanded access to our bodies thought themselves to be untouchable. This, I hoped, would finally be the balance of power. And by sharing our stories in which we were the protagonists, we made it very clear that every single one of us is so much more than just a victim of someone else's actions. We are the heroes of our own stories. We are the agents of this change. And yes, we want our abusers to know that they can and should be held accountable. But this is so much bigger than them. We want to end this spectrum of sexual violence and harassment and assault once and for all, and we want to dismantle the systems that allowed these crimes to go on for far too long. And as I see it, there are a few things to make this happen, and I know that everyone in this room can actually help with these things. First is education. I'm raising 2 kids right now, a boy and a girl, and I think all the time about the forces that will shape these little people into humans as they grow. And I know that they're learning about equality at home, and I make sure of that, but I know also that there are some children who aren't learning about equality. And to me, this should be a part of every curriculum in every single school, and lessons that absolutely everyone needs to hear, because respecting the value of every single human you meet is a basic, fundamental requirement of being part of society. And oddly, apparently, there are people that still don't get that. So we have to make sure that that message is reaching everyone. And second is legislation. It's time. In fact, it's way past time to pass the Equal Rights Amendment. And it's something my friend Congresswoman Maloney, I don't know if she's in the room, has fought so tirelessly for a decade. We need to guarantee women protection in the Constitution. And I can't believe it's 2018 and we're still talking about this, but here we are. And we need other protections too. We need paid family leave. We need equal pay for equal work. We need the Violence Against Women's Act. We need a domestic workers' Bill of Rights in all 50 states. And even though we shouldn't need a law that equips hotel housekeepers with panic buttons, apparently we do. Chicago passed a law after a survey of hospitality workers found that half had seen a guest expose himself. As one hospitality worker in California put it, they feel they have a right to the lady who cleans the room. Now, I hope and pray that I live to see a world where everyone finally understands that you cannot do that to anyone, ever, no matter how important you think you are. But in the meantime, let's make sure that these women have what they need to protect themselves. Please, we must keep asking the right questions and demanding the right action, which brings me to activation. Despite our president's best efforts, we still live in a democracy. And in a democracy, progress doesn't happen automatically. It requires action and participation. It challenges us and it empowers us, because at the end of the day, it actually is us. So please, I know I don't have to speak to you guys in this room about the importance of November 6th, but we all have to bring friends and make it clear that you're only going to support candidates who will support women, that you will only support companies and brands that support women, and you will continue to do whatever you can using whatever power and platform that you have to end this ridiculous status quo. And men in the room, I'm talking to you too, because we cannot do this without you. We need you to stand by our side. And not just because we're your wives, or your daughters, or your sisters and mothers, but because we are human beings, equally endowed with the same inalienable rights. So let's move forward together. And as Tarana says so perfectly, being a survivor does not define who you are. It is because of Tarana Burke that I have hope, that the words "Me Too" have always been just more than a testament to our past, but they are a prayer for our future. And I'm hopeful that those stories won't be the norm for my daughter's generation, because there will be a new set of expectations for the men of my son's generation. And I'm so hopeful that eventually we'll stop hearing new voices saying those two words together. But this movement is not going anywhere until our work is done. I will support Tarana Burke forever, if we have to. The words "Me Too" are going to keep echoing. They will reverberate off every closed door. They will bounce off of every glass ceiling. We will feel their vibrations every time they hit a wall that stands between us. Me too. Me too. Me too. And they'll echo until every door has been opened, until every glass ceiling has been smashed, until those walls that exist to keep us out have come down. And only once there is nothing left for those walls to bounce off of, no barriers left to hold us back, will those echoes go silent, because that will mean that we do not need them anymore. And that is what I'm praying for. That is what I'm working for my daughter, for your daughters, for everyone. Thank you.
Where y'all going? It's not over. I'm back. Oh my gosh. Alyssa know how to make a speech still. Good grief. We were back there like, I'm checking this number to see if I have to be silent again. So I was also informed, for those who don't give online, that we have these little envelopes on your table. You can give in the envelope. If you're old school and you don't believe in all of this hocus pocus, put your money in the envelope. So I'm back to introduce Haley and Michael again. Yes. Quick story. So Me Too goes viral. It's everywhere. I'm doing TV and all of this kind of stuff and, getting a little visibility. So people start sending me weird messages online, on Twitter, until I realized you can stop that. I didn't know that at first. And I would get messages, I would get poems from people, I would get all kind of stuff. And one day I get a message from this couple that says, "Hey, we really support your movement, we love it, blah, blah, blah. And we wrote this song. We don't want anything, we just want to share it with you." I do not know why I answered that message to this day. Probably because the song was beautiful, the words. And I answered, we had a little bit of an exchange, and it was great. And we kept in touch. They would give little updates. And then one day they wrote back and said, hey, we got a record deal with Sony Music. And we're recording that Me Too song that we sent you. How about that? I was like, oh, okay. I felt like a Lucky Charm. And then they recorded the song, and they were in New York recording, and I went by the studio to visit them, and we got to talking, and they were like, you should be on the song. And we sat in a little room in Sony Music downtown, and I wrote some stuff out, and I literally recorded it right then and there with them. They recorded the Me Too song. It became a country music hit. Y'all didn't know I like country music. This is a true story. I really do like country music. I mean, I'm, Mary J. Blige down to my socks, but I also love some Tim McGraw and Faith Hill, so thank you. But anyway, Ryan and Shannon, better known as Haley and Michael, are two of the nicest people. This is not a joke. These are two of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. They are genuine, they are loving, and they are here to sing our song. Welcome, Haley and Michael. Thank you. Oh, wait, I didn't give you your stick.
The stick. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Tarana, and thank you to the New York Women's Foundation for having us. This is such an incredible honor. This song was fueled by my own personal experience as a survivor of sexual violence, but it was inspired by the Me Too movement itself, because a year ago today, my life changed forever. When I read the words Me Too over and over and over again, and I found out that I wasn't alone. And I had lived over half of my life thinking that I was alone. And like many survivors, I know what it's like to live in silence, and I know what it's like to speak up and to not be believed. And so I wanted to write a song that goes out to anyone who has ever felt that way, in hopes that it could help them in the same way that the Me Too movement helped me. And I want to say thank you, Tarana, for all those years ago saying Me Too and fighting the fight so that millions of survivors, including myself, could get our voices back. It is our greatest honor to have collaborated with you on this song.
I read a headline recently that said that women were outraged. And I thought to myself, the same thing I did when we wrote the song. Why is it just women when we're all affected by this? Whether it's men, it's happened to us directly, or to our wives, or someone we love, or my grandpa Rusty, who was a survivor, but never had the chance to say me too until tonight. My mom, Rita, is here. Hi, Mom. Mom, thank you for showing me what a strong woman is and for teaching me how to be a man. To Danny Strick at Sony ATV. Danny, thank you for believing in us. Thank you for supporting this song and for helping our voice be heard. Thank you. Hey, Shan. That's 49% mine.
That's right.
It was a year ago today that Alyssa posted Me Too, and Sepida, your friend, posted Me Too, and then you were questioning whether or not you wanted to say Me Too. And then you wrote a song, which is so you. And I'm so incredibly proud of you. And I'm so proud to be your husband. To the New York Women's Foundation and Tarana, we're so deeply humbled and honored by this. And Tarana, we are proud to stand with you. We are honored to be here tonight. And we're thankful to be your friends. Thank you guys so much.
child inside's too afraid to speak. Ever think you're strong till someone told you you were weak? Got your secrets and all the pain that you've been through. Me too. Me too. Ever wish that you could redo something that you did? Regain the innocence you lost when you were a kid. Shut the TV off 'cause you can't watch the evening news. Me too. Me too. When the world keeps breaking your heart, we're a million miles apart. Just dances in the dark, and she's looking for a spark. Together all alone, feels like you're out there on your own. Maybe it ain't only you. Me too. Me too. Have you ever thought that now's the time to take a stand? Kick off the dust, had enough of sitting on your head. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. I'll be there for you. Be there for me too. When the world keeps breaking your heart, we're a million miles apart. Just dances in the dark, now she's looking for a spark. Together all alone, it's like you're out there on your own. Maybe it ain't only you. The world keeps breaking your heart. We're a million miles apart. Just dances in the dark, and I'm just looking for a spark. Together all alone, we're like you're out there on your own. Maybe it ain't only you. Me too. Me too. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Outstanding. 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 Can you all stay with us? Can you all stand up here with us for a moment? Can you stay up with us? Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. Give it up for them one more time. So I need to invite some wonderful folks up to the stage to join us, but before I do that, I want to make one final appeal, especially to the men in the audience. We're all part of this, me too. And that the conversation, the message tonight, this is not an indictment on manhood, it's an invitation to men. An invitation for us to be part of the solution. And while we're the first generation of men being held accountable for something men have always gotten away with, we're also the first generation of men who could be intentional about respecting and valuing women and girls. So let's do that. So I'm going to ask the men, take an envelope home and give it to one of your buddies, one of your friends, or take it and donate in his name and let him know that he's part of the solution. All right, now, I'd like to invite our honorees back up, as well as Margarita Guzman, Ana Oliveira, and Kwanzaa Butler, if you could come back on stage. And I'm going to turn the mic over to our fearless, amazing, visionary, and leader, Ana. Give it up for Ana, please. Amazing.
Come on up.
Come on up, folks.
So here goes our enormous gratitude for our honorees, for Ted, for our incredible musicians, for our supporters, for our grantee leaders, without whom none of this would happen. And some important dates coming up. You heard about them. Act, 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 and let's act together. Thank you so much.